In 2014, I was driving home. I was stopped at a flagger, and a kid hit me about 40 or 50 miles an hour. He was texting and driving. And from the impact, it broke the car seat that I was sitting in. It bent the steering wheel. I broke a coffee cup in my hand. My knee broke the dash, and there was a crack in the hood of the car from the pressure going through the car. And at the time, I didn't really realize it, but I had a pretty severe concussion from that. And I had a spinal fluid leak inside my head. And it took a couple of months. From that, I was having to use a cane, and I'd fall over if I wasn't helped around. I wasn't able to drive, wasn't really able to do a whole lot of anything. And I found a specialized doctor that went in and repaired a spinal fluid leak in my head. So they had to drill through the side of my head. I get this fancy hearing aid now because I lost most of the hearing in my left ear. So I went from that accident to then a month before I got cleared for my second surgery in 2016, I got hit again. And from that, it just kind of brought all the symptoms back, and I had a lot of head trauma stuff from that. Just dealing with my business, running my employees. At that point, I had a couple employees. I had 1,250 square feet office. So I had 4 treatment rooms, my own office, a back break room, a front reception area. And from that, I pretty much had to close down my business. It took about a year or so, but I got to the point where I just couldn't function very well. And my office manager and my employees couldn't keep things going. So I kind of supplemented with my own income for a while. And I got to a point where it was too hard to keep on supplementing, and seeing that my business was not successful with me not being there. I ended up closing my business in June of 2017. And then fast forward, by March of 2018, I think I had like 2 or 3 more concussions. It's to the point now where I get a concussion pretty easily. I just had my last concussion actually in March of 2019. I got hit in the head and got a concussion, and so I'm still recovering from that concussion now. Yeah, the concussions have been really rough because with concussions, it's not an external thing. I don't have a broken arm. I have a broken head, and I think it's been hard for my wife and I, just because she doesn't know what I can handle and what I can't handle, and going to doctors all the time. It's been really rough. Right now I have a concussion program that I'm a part of, and there's a whole team of doctors, like everybody from a speech therapist, occupational therapist, normal therapist. There's a bunch of different types of therapists that are working with like PT type work, physical therapy type work on my brain and getting me back to normal. I mean, just the challenges of having to go to doctor's appointments like 3-4 times a week really puts a damper in your business, and personal life and kids and everything. It just kind of affects everything. I've missed some sporting events because I can't go to the kids' sports sometimes with the concussions. It's just too much stimulation. One thing I really enjoy is church. I tried going and my head started shaking. I get these bad head tremors if I have too much stimulation. Sometimes I'll even wake up in the morning and I'll feel great, and a couple hours in I'll just be like exhausted. And so on those days I just try to set a goal of, okay, just if I can just do one thing for today, and not worry about the rest. It'll be there tomorrow. So it's definitely taught me how to set limits and to respect the limits that my brain tells me. When it tells me it's done, I need to stop. So when I first started my business, I was working a ton. I mean, I was working 60, 70, 80, 90 hour weeks. Before my big accident in 2014, I got to a point where I was just working so much that I would leave in the morning before Courtney and the kids got up, and I'd be home after the kids went to bed. And I felt like I was in so much poverty that I never wanted to be there again, that I pushed myself so hard to be successful, to, have money, to never need anything again, that I went to the other extreme. And so when I had my accident, it just really woke me up. It's like that was kind of the point in my life where I was like, now, do I really want what I'm going for? Do I want to not have a relationship with my wife and kids? I mean, I would see them, I got to a point where I would see them on weekends, because my business slowed down, or I hired employees so they could work the weekends. And so my hours were reduced a little bit, but I was still doing, 60 plus hours a week. And I thought I was doing it for the right reasons. I thought I was doing it to, so my kids could have whatever they wanted, and so that so my wife would be happy at home. But I realized I was just kind of running from one situation to the next. From being homeless, I was never going to be homeless again, to going to the other extreme where I had to be so successful that I would never be homeless again. And I didn't even really realize that until after my accident. And I had 20 weeks of bed rest, and I really got to focus on what is important in life. And so really from about 2014 on, that's kind of been my journey, is what is really important. My wife and kids are more important to me than making a little bit extra money. So I've found more balance from the accident. The accident was terrible. Had a couple brain surgeries and surgeries in the side of my head where they had to fix spinal fluid leaks. But at the same time, I might have missed my whole kids growing up. Because I thought I was doing a good job, but obviously when you have time to reflect, you can kind of see where you're doing well and where you're not. And I was lacking a lot in the home side. Yeah, like emotionally, like it's been really hard and draining. It's frustrating, and it's one of those things where I just have to be thankful. Like, for one thing, it's like I go back to my 2014 accident. I think I'm so grateful that my wife and kids weren't in the car with me. It could have been so much worse. I mean, I have a friend in a wheelchair, doesn't have any legs. I mean, talk about like that would be hard for me, not being able to walk around. So I try to look at things in a positive way, like be thankful for the things I do have, and be thankful that even though my brain isn't firing at 100%, it's still fairly, it still does fairly well, and I just think I actually get an opportunity to help more people by going through this. I can take this and use this to help other people. And so I just try to look at it on the positive side, especially when I start having those dark days where it's like, my brain isn't working today. I've got these migraines. I'm, just stuck in bed in this dark room by myself for a whole day. It's not fun. It's like, it does happen every once in a while still. And just kind of understanding that with all my accidents, I've still come back and recovered. And so just kind of that thought in the back of my head is, I still can recover. I still can come back from where I'm at. So even in those dark days, I try to remember to stay hopeful. The one thing I found really exciting is one of my business coaches told me was, if you know how to get somewhere, it's easier to get there again. So even though I had to close my business down, it's not as scary the second time going around. It's something that is like, I know I can do it because I've already done it. It's been successful. And so it's kind of exciting. Like, okay, well, I know how to have 5 employees. I know how to have 6 employees. How do I have 10 employees now? So now my goal is to get back to 6 employees and then slowly build from there. If you're doing something that you love doing and you want to be successful at it, it's not going to happen overnight. Like, nothing that I've done has happened overnight. I wasn't successful overnight. And if you enjoy doing it and you really, have a passion for it, just keep going. I've found that it seems like it takes about 3 years or so of just grinding and working hard at something before you finally get to a point where you're like, you can see the results. So, if you're having a bad day, if you're having a bad week, if you're having a bad month, look to tomorrow, and there's always hope. There's always the next day. And so it's all business, and like running my business, it just took me one day after another day after another day. And just building those good days turned into building those good weeks, turned into building those good months. to years. And so if you have a bad day, just wash it away, like clear it out, and the next day you can start fresh. And so just don't get caught up in that, oh, well, my life sucks. Well, your life might suck right now, but you can change it by doing something a little bit better tomorrow. And it doesn't have to be like great. It could be like just one little thing. Like, you decide you want to stop smoking, or you decide you want to, maybe you're deciding, oh, well, I drink too much, and so I want to quit drinking. Just, tomorrow's another day. So start there.
For other great videos and resources, visit lifesurgeacademy.com. Don't forget to like this video if you got something out of it, and subscribe to this channel.